Hi everyone. As you probably know, if you're a writer, it's a bit of a solitary craft. But that's just for the writing side of things. Writers still need their people. So who are these people that you can need to help support you on your journey? And how do you find them? If you want to find out, carry on listening. Hi there. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lisa Oliver. There's no point in going into all that I do. Please just Google me, Lisa Oliver Author, or go onto Amazon and look for Lisa Oliver. Also Audible, Kobo, Smashwords, you name it, I'm there. So go find what I'm doing. But I write paranormal romances. I currently have about 80 titles or more to my name. I honestly can't remember at this point. And I have been supporting myself from my self-publishing efforts for the last 9 years, which is why I do these videos to help you live the life that I do. But today we're talking about finding your people, finding yourself, being supported as a self-published author in all of the bits and pieces that entails. The video came about, as you may have noticed. I've not been online for a couple of weeks. And it's because I recently found out I had type 2 diabetes, which was a bit of a smack in the face and a punch in the jaw, and I really wasn't expecting it, especially when I've been doing so much to try and change my lifestyle. But still, no worries, it happens, doesn't it? And I'll just make some further tweaks and changes and keep on going. But it made me think about support, because although I have a very supportive family, I have adult children, now grown, who are very supportive of what I do, and what have you. But ultimately, I live alone, and I have online friends, I have online readers, I have, author friends, I have a lot of people around. And it made me think about that, when something happens to you, you sort of think, oh, like, who have you got there in your corner? But the thing is as a writer, we don't write in isolation. That, I imagine, would be completely soul-destroying. You honestly need somebody there, or it's extremely helpful to have somebody there when you're having a bad day, and, who can just sort of give you a pick-me-up or just say, oh, yeah, to heck with everything, let's just drink. Not that I can anymore, and not that I did, but anyway. I've broken up the people that we need, because we do need people. Self-publishing, a lot of things that put people off of self-publishing is to say you have to do everything yourself. And admittedly, when I first started writing, I put my first book out, my self-published fiction book out in February of 2014. It was the 26th of February, 2014. I put out my first book called The Reluctant Wolf. It was an paranormal romance. I had never written fiction before. I had never self-published fiction before. I hadn't got it edited, which was such a dumb move. And if you want to see how bad it is, go and take a look at it, because all these years later, I still haven't gotten around to getting it edited or getting a freshly edited version up online. Anyway, at that time, I made my own cover, I wrote my own blurb, I did my own marketing, such as it was on social media. It really wasn't much at all, and I was particularly lucky because 9 years ago there was no competition, or very little, in my genre. That has completely changed, especially with the pandemic over the last couple of years. More and more people are turning to self-publishing as an alternative way of making a living, whether it be a side hustle. Oh God, those things with the low content books don't get me started. But people who actually write stories, who craft stories, who share their stories, we need teams too. So on a practical sense, you're going to need an editor, okay? You're going to need an editor. Now, whether or not you can do your own covers, they are remarkably easy to do if you use somewhere like Canva, or personally I use Adobe Photoshop, but that's my thing. I use royalty photographs from Shutterstock and Dreamstime, and I cobble my um, my covers together. Now the funny thing is they are clunky. They are, yeah, they're not what you call amazing. But over the years, people now recognise my covers as mine. I always use this white font. I always did this, that, and the other. The bare-chested individual, or not always bare-chested, but usually a male on the cover, something representative of the paranormal world, and something that's going on in the book as a background, and white for my author name, my title, and my series name. And yeah, as I say, over the years, they've become part of my branding itself. So my doing my own covers is not a bad thing. But you may not have any graphic skills at all, or the thought of learning about it is just something you haven't got time for, in which case you're going to need a cover artist. That is really simple. You go to somewhere like Fiverr, or if you've been doing all the things that I've mentioned in my previous video about setting yourself up for marketing, you would ask author friends. You would look for recommendations. But if you're wanting to keep your costs low, Fiverr is an alternative, but definitely look for ones that have got 5-star reviews, plenty of 5-star reviews, and who understand your genre. That's particularly helpful. Another thing you are going to need, or you could use, I don't, incidentally, disclaimer, I don't, but you are ARC readers. These are advanced review copies. This is where you've finished your book and you've had it edited, or you might not have had it edited yet, but you send it out to a very small, very select group of readers who are prepared to come back and give you feedback. Does your book make sense? Does the timeline make sense? Is the pacing right? Have you filled in enough of the backstory for your character's actions to make sense? This sort of thing. They could be anything from half a dozen to a dozen people. They would normally be found through your group, or they would be found through these groups that you've signed up on. You have watched that video, haven't you, on the step-by-step marketing for self-publishers? Yeah, well, ask in those groups and you will find ARC readers. It's also a lot of people benefit, and I've talked to a lot of authors over the years, but a lot of people benefit from having that one person, that gets them. And they could be online, they could be anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter. But they're the person that you go to when you're having a plot point issue, or you're not sure that something works. So you send off a couple of chapters to this person to see whether or not what you've written works. Is it too shocking? Is it too lame? Does it make sense? Is it gratuitous? Because there's always that as well. And when we call them alpha readers. So if you may or may not have an alpha reader. I was going to say I don't have one, but that's not strictly true. If I'm having an issue with a book and I don't know that it works, I can think of 3 people off the top of my head that I could send it to, no questions asked. I trust them completely, and they will come back and tell me the truth about whether or not what I'm working, what I've written actually works. And then as you get on in your career, you're also going to look at things like translators, narrators, and a wonderful PA like my daughter, who runs publicationpixie.com, which you can find the link for below. Those are things, but you don't need them in the first instance. But they are the practical people you will have on your side, on your team, as your career develops. Now, the second group of people I call our author friends. And if you join groups like I've suggested you do in that other video, and if you're looking at networking and things like that, having an author friend you can talk to can be really handy. Now, I know for a lot of you, you'll have husbands, or, sorry, I shouldn't just say that, make that assumption, but you'll have partners, you may have children, you may have flatmates, you may have all sorts, but they're not necessarily going to understand what it's like to be an author. So having an author friend is amazing. And again, I have like a half a dozen people I can think of off the top of my head whom I can get in touch with, who I can say, oh, this doesn't work, or that doesn't work, what can you do? And they are really handy for helping to sort out those little bits and pieces. Um, yeah, that make things. It's somebody that gets you. And I think that's the point when we come to the third section, which is your friends and family. In that instance, in that group, that's the sort of people that I think of that come and drag you out of the house every now and again and take you out for lunch. These are the types of people who will ring you up and tell you that, yes, you really do need to shower, even though you've been writing, towards your own self-enforced deadline for 3 days. That really you actually need to go out, that there's a world out those windows that you seriously should step out into every now and again. And it would be really neat if that person could be the significant other. I found when I first started writing, I was still married, and my person wasn't my husband, unfortunately, but that's okay. I have since found a friend who does that for me, and if they don't, my daughter does. But that's what you need, is somebody that understands your life as a writer, understands if you don't answer phone calls and texts because you're engrossed in your story, but who every now and again put their foot down and come and insist that you shower and drag you outside because you need to go and sit out in the real world every now and again and not live entirely consumed by your fictional efforts. And there's one other group of people, and that's our readers. And I connect with all of my readers online, well, as many who want to connect with me. In the back of every single book I've written are the contact details for me and for how to get in touch with me. And I personally respond to everybody who gets in touch with me because it means something to me when somebody takes 5 minutes out of their day to get in touch with me, whether it's to tell me my book sucks, or if it's to tell me that my book made them smile, or if it's to tell me that they have spent the last week sitting by a hospital bedside and my book's the only thing that's helped keep them sane. My readers are the most precious gift and the most surprising gift because I did not anticipate it. But once you start to publish, once you put yourself out there, you will be absolutely amazed at the kindness, excitement, happiness, love, support, and everything else that comes from your readers back at you. Seriously, what you put out there in the world comes back to you at least threefold. For me, it's been 10. So we might write alone, but as writers, we aren't alone. Find your tribe, find your people, and you will find the journey as a writer is so much easier because of the wonderful people that are just a screen and an internet connection away, just like you. If there's anybody that you think I've forgotten, please drop it in the comments below. But for now, Eradicate, my book, has just come out. Link for that's below. That's the sequel to Illuminate. I am currently writing another Hellhound series book, and if you want to read the one I had before that, the link for that is also below, which was Better Than Sweets, I think it was. Yep, Better Than Sweets. And we have got Markov came off out last month. I'm not sure that was the book I'm writing with Tangled Tentacles with JP Sale. We are currently writing Kelvin, which is the last book in that series, and that will be out sometime in November 2022. And in the meantime, if you could hit like and subscribe, that would mean the world to me. Hug the ones you love, my friend, and go find your tribe. Bye.